Good evening. This is America's Mayor live from Palm Beach, as you see behind me. Except we happen to be today, don't tell President Trump, at the Breakers. Because, as I am going to announce to you now, at 9 o'clock, Dr. Maria will have an interview with the president of Serbia. And we'll tell you a little more about that later, but you don't want to miss it. And it's important because Serbia is a very, very successful country, by the way, after all of the problems that it had and then the problems it created and the problems that were inflicted on it. So it could be it is. The president of Serbia estimates that about 80% of the people support President Trump. So Mr. President, don't get upset, but that's even better than the United States. And we'll go over the 100 days too, because everybody's been going over the 100 days, and we did it on the earlier show. But I know not everybody watches that, which you should, by the way, on Lindell TV, which is where you're going to get Dr. Maria at 9. So let's cover. There's a lot of stuff that I want to cover because I got to give you the truth about it. So first of all, the Chinese, as I just finished on the Lindell station, saying the Chinese are conducting a massive public relations campaign against our country, the United States of America, and probably helped by a lot of Americans who they have paid off, or done things like they did with the congressman that had the girlfriend and the senator who had a driver for 19 years, all of whom were Chinese communists. And I mean, they infiltrate like crazy, or like Harvard, or forget it, or like Biden, who they paid $31 million to. So now they're doing a worldwide campaign attacking the United States because of the tariffs, and saying, do business with us, do business with China. Yeah, like do business with the mafia. Right. I mean, I've sat with presidents of countries that have told me it's the worst mistake they ever made doing business with China. They said, you'd understand that it's like doing business with the mafia. They come in, they give you a lot of money, they have a whole bunch of writing, and eventually they own your country. And if you don't like it, you know what's going to happen. They're going to cut you off, and you probably depended too much on them. So here's the quick answer to this bit of communist garbage. We should do our own public relations campaign. Who's better at public relations than Madison Avenue? Who's better at public relations than America? We invented it. Like everything else, they stole it from us. Anyway, it sounds better in English than Chinese. It does. I'm sorry. Get insulted if you want. It's a much more melodious language. I mean, Latin's even better. Ha ha ha. Latin's beautiful. Beautiful language. Almost words don't end in Latin. Sometime I'll explain that to you. That's why it's such a great language for singing, as is Italian, by the way. So they're trying to turn the world against us. And they're doing things like, how about this? History has proven compromise won't earn you mercy. Kneeling only invites more bullying. I agree with China. I agree. Compromising with a bunch of homicidal, atheistic, communist swine doesn't work. The only thing that works is Ronald Reagan. But we got to really do it now. We're getting too many doubts that are coming in. I don't like that. I think the first 100 days have been historic, and the things that are raised even by his big supporters like Michael Goodwin and others, they raise it as not been resolved yet. But there are danger signs that we have to be alert to as well. And one of them is depending too much on diplomacy. That's what Chamberlain did. He depended too much on diplomacy, and we had the biggest war in the history of the world. Right? Diplomacy is really important. And so is being the most powerful nation on earth that scares the living daylights out of all the evil people. So we don't have to go to war with China right now. God forbid we ever have to. But we can go to war with them in public relations. We can't beat them in public relations. My God, how come all these guys are making all that money in public relations if we can't do that? So let's get the ones that haven't been bought off by China, of which there are a substantial number, and let's do our own campaign. How about every single country we can go into, we find out how many people died of COVID and go tell them the Chinese did it. And they did. That's not propaganda. That's proven fact. I'll be more than happy to do the commercials if you want. I'll even try pronouncing Chinese if you want me to. But I knew that from the beginning. I knew that almost from day one because of Dr. Maria. We interviewed the first woman. She did. The first woman that came out of there and told us that. There's never been a doubt about it, except because of the communist infiltration, the Chinese infiltration of America. Trump cuts off the Chinese in late January, was it, or late February? I've forgotten. He cut off all trade and all traffic with China. And they went crazy on him. Biden went crazy, and Pelosi went, all the ones paid off by China. They all went crazy on him. Xenophobic. Like hell xenophobic. These were walking time bombs. These Chinese people that were sent into, a lot of them were sent to Italy, which is why Italy had such a terrible problem. A lot of them were sent to Western Europe. A lot was sent to America. If it weren't for the Chinese communists, we would not have had the COVID pandemic. And I'm assuming even that it was an accident. I'm assuming it's an accident, but then they went and deliberately spread it. They closed down China, protected Wuhan to the extent they could, and then they sent their people deliberately out all over the world. And Trump figured it out after he made the mistake originally of praising Xi Jinping because it sounded like he was cooperating, but he picked up before anybody else that he was screwing us. So why don't we go tell that story all around the world? And then we could add in a few other things like they want to eliminate. You talk about genocide. When you look at Xi Jinping, remember, this is the man who's killed more of his own people than any human being on earth. The one we feted and lauded and did a big parade for in communist San Francisco, led by communists like Gavin Newsom and Nancy Pelosi, all cheering, making those poor Chinese people cheer for the person who's killed more of their own people than anybody on earth. Imagine, I look into the faces of those Chinese people saying, poor people, what are they doing to you, the Democrats? You're cheering for Xi Jinping? What are you, crazy? This guy should be executed. So why don't we go tell that story about why don't we show the video we have of the torture they're inflicting on the Uyghur people because they're Muslim? Why don't we show what they've done to Christians? They're killing thousands and thousands and thousands of Christians. I believe my own church made an unholy bargain with them over the appointment of cardinals. Where the hell do they come off having anything to say about cardinals? Because we're scared of them? We're frightened of what they might do to Catholics? Gee, didn't we start as martyrs for the faith? Isn't that what we started? I just went through a whole list of all the popes. I think the first 20 popes were all killed. And they're saints, not suck-ups to China. We need a major campaign, and boy, it'd be easy to convince the world. They're half convinced anyway. Well, we could end it with something xenophobic like, well, you want to all speak Chinese? I sure don't. Okay. So the great achievements of the first 100 days, let me just quickly remind you of them. We did it on the last show in detail, but illegal migration, 0. From 1 year, 3.5 million. This year, if it gets to, I used to think 100,000, who knows? Who knows? But I think right now it's 7,000, of which only 100. Most of them are in jail. So I don't even know what the number is. I mean, it's basically down somewhere between 90 and 99%. I mean, we essentially do not have illegal migration any longer. We've sent 300 to 400,000 out of the country already. Now we got a long way to go. And we got a bunch of corrupt Democrat judges, including ones who harbor the illegals, who beat up women, kill people, sell drugs, take them in their home, engage in the insanity that judge in Wisconsin was doing, going out and yelling at the agents and then sneaking, actually helping to sneak the criminal out. I don't know. So that guy had beaten beaten a guy with a pole 30 times and then beat the hell out of a woman. So I guess he had about 3 or 4 more people he had to beat up, so she let him out. Well, these are the things that he's accomplished. The economy, don't worry. I'm telling you, don't worry. The tariffs are going to work out in our favor. Someone's got to do a list. Even I thought it would be done by the administration of how much investments. Today was another $500 billion investment in the United States. You haven't seen the effect of that yet. That's going to, and the big beautiful bill, which will end up with the lowest tax rates we've had in forever, as well as reductions in spending, reductions in the deficit. None of that's happened yet. So calm down. Here's what I'm worried about. I'm going to tell you what I'm not worried about the tariffs at all. It's all going to work out. It's going to be a plus. Canada is going to be crying in about 3-4 months. China's already crying, but the way they cry is they go on offensive, and we should beat the hell out of them with the public relations. I'm worried about Iran, and I'm worried about the fact that it would be very, very hard for me to trust any piece of paper, any agreement signed by Iran. In fact, I'd be foolish to say to you that you can trust anything that the mullahs and the Ayatollah do. No matter what they say, no matter what they agreed to, they know they have to be nuclear in order to do the bullying that they do. Because if they're not, at some point, Israel's just going to wipe them off the map. And they're way behind Israel in terms of the nuclear power Israel says it doesn't have. And what have we seen with Israel? Everything is underestimated, right? I mean, they wiped out the biggest, toughest terrorist group, Hezbollah, in about 2 weeks. I think basically they blew at them. Go away. You don't think, and I have no inside information, zero. You don't think Israel has an unbelievably sophisticated nuclear weapon system that could pinpoint just about every part of Iran and take it out? Of course it does. And now with the bunker busting bombs that we gave them, that Trump gave them, they could wipe out their entire nuclear capacity in 5 days. So here's the only agreement I would agree to, which is let us do it. You don't have to sign anything. Just take everybody out of those places. We give you 4 days to get them out, and we're going to blow them to hell. And we'll try to keep it limited to the nuclear, or anything that allows you to have nuclear power. You want anything else nuclear, you're going to have to buy it from us. We'll sell it to you for the peaceful use of nuclear power. And we'll make sure it can only be used for the peaceful. And you're going to have to buy it from us because it's going to cost us a lot of money to blow all those things up to help you. That's a Trump deal. I don't know who's negotiating for him, but a lot of it sounds like they're buying, horseshit. Ukraine. Got to straighten out Putin. We can't let Putin walk all over us. The deal that has been proposed by whoever's negotiating for Trump has nothing in it for Ukraine and everything in it for Russia. Everything. Russia gets to keep all the territory that it has illegally taken from Ukraine against international law, our own agreement with Ukraine to protect them. They get to keep all of it. 25% of Ukraine. They get to keep it. Number two, they get to have all their sanctions lifted so they can become rich again. Which means, as soon as Trump is gone, they'll come and take the rest of Ukraine. Come on, let's be honest about Putin. I don't have like stars in my eyes over Putin. I've met him. Cold-blooded mass murder. Who will use that anytime he can to gain what, in his somewhat insane mind, he thinks Russia's entitled to. He's not a czar. He's not entitled to the kingdom of Peter the Great. And he sure as hell isn't Khrushchev or Stalin. He has a relatively poor country that only has something to say because it's got nuclear weapons. It's a extremely weak economy, and there are any number of countries that are much more economically sound than Russia. And the only reason it's a problem is because it can threaten us with nuclear weapons. Now, Medvedev feels empowered. To yesterday, Medvedev is the guy, at one point, Putin was going to retire. I remember, would you like me to admit something stupid I said? I said to President Bush once, when Putin had run out of his 2 terms as the prime minister, who was the more powerful one at the time. So he stepped down as prime minister, and he made Dmitry Medvedev the prime minister. And Dmitry Medvedev began as a somewhat conciliatory figure. But over a course of just about a few months, he moved all the power away from Medvedev and brought it to the president. And then he basically made himself president for life, which is, of course, a dictator. So Medvedev is still, sucking around Putin with his stupid little mouth. Medvedev is the one that Obama, the traitor, said to him, once the election is over, I can be much more accommodating with Vladimir. Well, sure, he was accommodating. He gave him Ukraine. He's the one who originally gave him Ukraine. I don't know if we're ever going to intervene. The time was when they first came to the gates. You think if NATO were there in force, Putin would have come across? No way, not in a million years. Putin is a very shrewd customer who takes no risks. It was a no-risk proposition with the double-crossing traitorous President Obama, and even a no-risk in capital letters with the guy that he knew his pals China had paid off. Oh, and remember, one of Putin's best friends gave, what do we call Hunter Biden? We gave that thing $3.5 million. $3.5 million. And the only one who doesn't have sanctions. 3.5, I guess, is enough for no sanctions, right? So Medvedev now says, Finland and Sweden that have joined Europe in condemning what Russia did to Ukraine. Medvedev said, we consider you hostile actors. So you have to be prepared for us attacking you and even possibly using nuclear weapons. What? What? How about a response? Huh? Yeah, right. You like those stupid little bubble things you have all over Moscow? Those things that come up in the air? You know how fast with intermediate range missiles we can get to you? It's a long time before you could get to us, pal. We're right next to you. You don't think Poland wouldn't be really happy to help us do it? Poland? It's been 1,000 years they wanted to get even with you. But you really think your beaten up army, where you can't even get people to join anymore, you got to go get a bunch of moronic North Koreans that don't even know who they are, who probably kill more of your people than the Ukrainians. You got to go get them to fight for you? You think you're going to be able, you're going to be able to deal with NATO? Oh, how about the United States of America? Maybe we'll ask Israel to help us, because by that time, we will have blown the Iranian nuclear facilities to smithereens. Maybe Israel could take a little section there, right, and protect Finland. Want to go up against Israel, Vladimir? You had a hard time with Ukraine. But this is what we have to do. What do we have this power for if we don't use it for good? I mean, I don't get it. How does this guy come off saying that? What gives him the license to do this, except that he thinks we're soft? Did you ever hear them say that with Ronald Reagan or in the first Trump administration? I never heard him say that. That scares the hell out of me, that he's able to say that. And this guy's not a tough guy. Putin's a tough guy. Medvedev is one of the reasons Putin really jumped all over him. Was the guy was talking about, trying to be friends again and stuff like that. That's not going to work with a KGB killer. Now, I don't know if anybody's making a big deal out of what Medvedev said. It's very, very dangerous that he feels empowered to say that with Donald Trump in the White House. And we got to fix that. We have gone too far in the direction of wanting to be diplomats. We've gone too far in saying how reluctant we are about war. If you're too reluctant about war and you have evil people in the world, you can have war. So, China should be answered with a public relations effort that will destroy their reputation all over the world. Let's destroy it. Let's tell people in the world the truth about them. That, half of our country has been compromised, half of our leaders or elite or whatever have been compromised not to do, including the NBA. As far as I'm concerned, after losing to the Detroit Pistons last night, they can all go to China. And this guy here was rooting for the Pistons.
Uh-oh. Big time.
No, they were clutch.
Fun game.
They were clutch, and they did it in the Garden. Woo! Right. You see how crazy those Garden people are, right?
Right.
Detroit, though.
I know. Look, I love basketball, except for the fact that they kiss up to China. So, we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. U.S. Army Major Scott Smiley paid a high price serving our nation. Scott was leading his platoon in Iraq when a blast sent shrapnel through his eyes, leaving him blind and temporarily paralyzed. Scott would become the first blind active duty military officer before medically retiring years later. Thanks to friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave Scott and his family a mortgage-free, specially adapted smart home. Show your support for America's heroes now. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at
Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal. 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month.
Wow.
Including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news,
Wow.
even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax,
Wow.
channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go.
Wow.
Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly,
Wow.
where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today. Use promo code RUDY. Act fast.
These
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because they like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're gonna go into the roaster and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee. This is Rudy Giuliani back with you with America's Mayor Live. So the United States now is, and this is being done by the National Security Advisor, Mike Walls, is making it clear that they want Europe to not just be at 2% of their GDP on defense, but 5%. That is a very, very wise and important thing to do, and Europe should do it if they don't want to all speak Chinese. And it won't be Russian because the Chinese will eat up Russia. Russia is only surviving because of China. And why we don't see the connection between the two enough is only because the Chinese have done such a good job of infiltrating us. So I think this is another accomplishment of the first 100 days, in that a lot of the countries have gotten to 2% now. And Trump got that started. Biden made a few advances, but fairly small. And now since Trump's been in, it's been a lot of these countries have been getting exactly to 2%. I think we've raised the stakes, to the right level. I was very disappointed to see that Elon Musk has been consigned to the old executive office building. He's only going to be there for a few more weeks, and why not let him stay in the White House? Sounds like some of the people around Trump are worried about Musk's advice, or worried about taking heat for him. I mean, the guy's done an unbelievable job. This will turn out to be one of the historic achievements of the Trump administration. That is, taking the crooked government apart. If you live in California, I don't know why. We want to back to the fires. What do you want to talk about? How about the following? And this should be enough. So there is an assembly Democrat. Assembly Democrat who wants to do the following. She wanted to make it a felony to pay a 16 or 17-year-old for sex. Now it's only 18 and over. So what happened? The Democrats in the assembly blocked it, just like they put through easier penalties for pedophiles. I don't know. If you like this stuff, go to California. And if you like being taxed almost as bad as New York, stay there. But geez, I haven't visited there in a while, and I'm going to avoid it as much as possible. Now, you want to talk about Western Europe? Please don't. You want to talk about Italy and Hungary? Fine. Germany, under its new right-wing chancellor, who would not make a deal with the more right-wing party because they're Nazis. Okay, do you have any idea that 800 people have criminal complaints filed against them, or may be in jail for online insults? Free speech? That hasn't happened in Germany since Hitler, right? The country itself owns the biggest broadcasting network in the country, which is the signature of a communist or Nazi state. It encompasses television, radio, news sites, and social media. It's funded by 9 billion euros annually from the government. And of course, the government is the SPD party. In fact, it actually even owns a stake in one of Germany's largest newspapers. It would be like the Democrats acknowledging that they really own the New York Times, right? And then that newspaper has 20 regional dailies. Now, as people have all kinds of methods of communication, the Germans have had to crack down on their free speech. So in 2023, well, in 1990, 78% of Germans said they felt free to express their opinions. By 2023, the number was down to 40%. That is, more than half the country does not feel free to express its opinion. Is that a democracy? Is that a real ally of the U.S.? Or does that sound like something that's going back in time to what we're not supposed to mention? And they want to put in a new law that says anyone convicted twice of incitement to hatred cannot hold public office. This is, of course, like Maduro and the Democrat Party in America. If you can't beat your adversary, put him in prison. And this I mean, and the guy elected is another. He's another Klaus Schwab, World Economic Forum acolyte. Remember the New Year's attack in New Orleans when the criminal was still president? You might recall, or maybe I need to remind you, that 14 people were killed. That's a lot of people. The St. Valentine's Day massacre was 7. But like my great departed friend, Senator Moynihan, said, we've defined deviancy down, so it's no longer shocking because we kill so much. And we even have Democratic members of Congress and Democratic judges who want to keep criminals here, bring them back, like we don't have enough. Well, I mean, this was an Islamic terrorist attack from day one. The guy had a flag. He was a Muslim. He was a U.S. Army veteran who was radicalized by ISIS before he rammed his Ford F-150 Lightning truck through the crowded Bourbon Street in New Orleans. He was flying an ISIS flag. The Biden administration had a hard time describing this as a terrorist attack, like Obama never would. Now, people would be yelling, Allah Akbar. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, we can't tell what that was. You don't think that encourages him? Like I said on the prior show, if Clinton hadn't been bombing Serbia, that had nothing to do with the United States, and doing that to bin Laden, all those people would be alive today. Hey, it's an evil party. It's become an evil party. When you have judges escorting criminals who beat the living crap out of people, so they don't get detained by federal law enforcement, you got an evil political party. Something's happened. It's much worse than you think. It's got to be. I'm just going by examples. So this guy now, it turns out, who went by the name of Shamsuddin Jabbar, 42 years old, he's arrested or dead. Was he shot and killed? I can't remember now if he was shot and killed or we killed him. He was shot on the spot. I mean, he killed 14 people before he died, and he injured who knows how many. The Iraqis have arrested a major ISIS operative, a member of the Foreign Operation Office. They have a Foreign Operations Office in ISIS. And the suspect is going to be tried in Iraqi court for having organized the attack. That was an Islamic extremist terrorist attack that killed 14 people. What do you want to say? Minor version of September 11th? I don't know. One life. Aren't we Judeo-Christian? Or at least by tradition? Oh, I guess not. Not anymore. Life doesn't really matter anymore, right? Not when you can kill 9 months, 8 months, 7 months babies, and when you pass a bill to do it, the New York legislature breaks out in cheers and celebration. Speaking of New York, they just completed a bill that would have me leave New York if I hadn't done it already. They got a budget of $256 billion. $254 billion. I'm sorry. But it'll be $280 billion by the time they're finished. Now, what's the budget, Stephen, of the state we're in right now, Florida? Remember, New York, $254 billion, about 18 million people. Florida, 22 million. What's its budget?
115 billion.
The budget of Florida is 115 billion, and the budget of New York is 254 billion. And Florida has 4 million more people, and is a much better run state.
Bigger.
Safer, nicer, freer. How is that possible without corruption? It isn't. And why does nobody do anything about it? Because political corruption is protected. And my Republican friends in New York, not all of them, a lot of new ones have come along now, but Republicans used to take the crumbs. I remember when I was prosecuting this, I'd pick up a proportionate number of Republicans who were crooks. Remember when I arrested and prosecuted about 50 county highway commissioners all over the state. Depending on the place, they were Republicans or Democrats. We offered them bribes. The FBI did a sting operation, offered them bribes. Nobody turned us down. One guy turned us down. You know why? This is New York. The bribe wasn't enough. Mm-hmm. And your friend here went back to the FBI when I was their favorite prosecutor. Now I was mayor. Oh, no, I was prosecutor. When I was their favorite prosecutor, I even have an award for having brought the most significant cases of the 20th century for the FBI. Got a whole big award. That's before they went and seized my iCloud account, raided my apartment, raided my law office, and then told the grand jury there was no probable cause that I had committed a crime. Well, the FBI, the The FBI could rip apart New York. 254. Again, Florida is what?
115.
Well, New York City is more than that.
Oh, which one did you want?
Florida.
Florida, yeah, 116.
Yeah, but New York City is about 130, 140. I mean, New York City is 8 million people. Florida is 22 million people. How can it be that New York City has a bigger budget than Florida? And they're not stealing? Do you have to be, I mean, do you really have to act like you're stupid? I guess so. So Harvard is suing the president because the president was so unfair to pour it into Harvard. He took away $2 billion or $4 billion. They got a $50 billion endowment. And he took the money away from them because they didn't protect Jewish people and because they're anti-Semitic and because they allow riots in favor of enemies of the United States, terrorists. Those seem like pretty good reasons. But the Harvard president, what is it, Garber? The Harvard president is suing him, except somebody commissioned a report from Harvard, done by Harvard students and faculty. And there's a 311-page report on anti-Semitism and a 222-page report on anti-Muslim and anti-Palestinian bias. Well, I guess that'd be another reason to cut their money off, right? Basically, I don't know how they're going to fight this case. The committee, the Harvard people found that there's a critical picture of the school's political and academic situation. Students, both Jewish and Muslim, feel unsafe at Harvard. The university committee found that it has to change and define teaching expectation to promote intellectual openness. Oh yeah, this is going to really make them stop hating Jews. They have to enforce rules around where protests can take place. Oh, that's really going to do it. Wow, this is tough. Boy, if you're Jewish, you can feel really comfortable going to the school that used to be Jews need not apply. And ensuring admissions processes enroll students willing to engage across perspectives. I don't know what the hell that means, but I didn't go to Harvard, so it never sounds like a bunch of gobbledygook bullshit to me. But here's what's not. They found that the school includes departments that taught classes that denied historical facts in service to a political agenda. And these problems trace back decades, describing years of compromised scholarship. In particular, the report puts it this way: a political advocacy and laziness around incorporating the Jewish or Israeli perspective when teaching about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. In other words, they teach that Hamas is really not a terrorist group, as the stupid United States has said, and just about all the rest of the world. In other words, they teach lies because they're a lousy school. I'm sorry, Harvard. You stink. You stink. Cruel and hateful posts regarding Israel. Pro-Palestinian demonstrators chanting from the river to the sea, which means Palestine will be free, which means the destruction of the Jewish people. Globalize the Intifada. Yeah, come and get us. This is what they were doing at Harvard. Now here's the biggest one of all. Garber, who's suing Trump so that they can continue to be anti-Semitic. One of the things in the report is a big picture of him that they were carrying around as a devil with horns and a tail because he's a Jew. That reminds me of Schumer. That reminds me of Schumer, right? Traitor to your own people. I don't know. We've talked enough. I think we've talked enough about Judge Dugan, who was presiding over the case of Eduardo Flores Ruiz, who was charged with very, very violent criminal battery of his friend, who he struck I don't know, something like 30 times with a bat and then beat the hell out of his wife. I'm not sure if it was his wife or his friend's wife. So this guy is in front of her on a. I mean, it should be of concern to a judge in Wisconsin that somebody beat his friend with a bat 30 times and beat the hell out of his wife or the guy's wife, right? That would be if she were a judge. And the Democrats and the left wingers are saying she should get judicial immunity. Judicial immunity? First of all, I don't know. The minute you get off the bench, I think you don't have immunity anymore. She gets off the bench. She goes into the room outside the courtroom and she tells the federal agents to get lost. The federal agents should have told her to get lost. Maybe they should put handcuffs on her and taken her away for obstructing justice. And now you turn you tell us exactly where that Flores guy is now, and if you don't, we're arresting you. Of course, he was inside her courtroom. So then she goes back in the courtroom and she puts him in a protected place in the jury box where nobody is allowed but court officials. And then she cleans out the place in back and says that federal agents aren't allowed to go there. And then she tells them to go out that way. I don't think she ever completes the arraignment. She tells them to go out that way. And just to be sure that they can get out and the guy can continue to beat his friend and the guy's wife. I mean, probably he got interrupted. He wanted to do another 100 times. She opens the door for them and helps them out. Now, why isn't she in jail now? Why? Can you think of anything more egregious for a judge to do than that? Federal law is superior to just to start with. But how about just human decency? Dugan, what a piece of... I'm not going to remind you of Cano, the one in New Mexico. This guy had the criminal, I think in his case, Trendiragua gangster living with him and then let him go live with his daughter. Judge Cano's a hell of a judge. Well, he's off the bench now. Thank God he's gone. But he's on trial with him and his wife. Hell of a judge, hell of a father. There is a very, at least well-known to the Boston Marathon runner named Natalie Daniels, who last week ran the race in 2 minutes, 50 seconds, 2 minutes and 50 seconds, 2.50.04. So we get exact. She's been thrown out of her running club in DC, which means she can't run marathons. She's run in something like 18, and she's won 8. She even ran right after she was pregnant. You know why she's been thrown out of her club? No, she didn't beat her friend 100 times with a bat. She didn't sell drugs. She's not a member of MS-13 or Trendiragua. No. She believes and advocates that men, which is what a trans man, woman, whatever you call it is, that men should not be allowed to participate in female sports so that females have a decent chance of having a valid sports experience. I don't know. I can't imagine you don't agree with that. 80% of America does. But even if you don't agree with that, you're not entitled to have that opinion? This is America. Or maybe it's Germany. They threw her out. Everybody should quit the club. There should be no more DC running club. But of course, they probably agree. Now, she did irritate them by, some time ago, she began to speak out on this. And she reached out to an apparel company called XX-XY, which of course are the chromosomes that define men and women. They're not political. They're scientific and real. And I guess it was her connection with them.
I'm
Banishing?
going to show the website right now, the XY Athletics.
Yeah.
I'm showing them the website. I don't know if you can see it over there.
Yeah, I can. I can.
It looks like a nice little trendy spot to order some. Oh, there she is.
Yeah, that's her.
Yeah.
Now, because her, I guess you have certain participants, if they're professional, have to be sponsored by particular clubs. So she's been thrown out of a club because she doesn't think that men should be running against women. And the way the Boston Marathon is now configured, women can absolutely win nothing. And this is a woman who's been the champ 8 times, and they threw her out. I swear to God, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I mean, I wake up in the morning and I hear these things, and I say to myself, "Am I able to show a picture?"
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sure. Let me know. You got it ready?
Yeah, if I had it ready, I could have cut out the first 15 minutes of my show, both shows.
Okay, so do you want to go to your
Yeah, I want to go to my picture right now. President, turn around and look at him, and then call up Putin and tell him to fire Medvedev. You got people working for you who threaten nuclear war? Vladimir, you really have people working for you who threaten nuclear war? Suppose Vance threatened nuclear war. Wouldn't you call? Suppose Vance said, I don't know, we might hit Moscow.
Which we might.
Well, I mean, I would say it, but I'm not working for him. Call up Putin and tell him to fire Medvedev and tell him never again to threaten nuclear war. Well, you may change your mind about whether America should be part of the security guarantee for Ukraine. And then let's see what you're going to do with your pissant army, if there's any left. You had to go get North Koreans to fight for you who killed your people because they didn't know the difference? Because these poor people live in Neverland. They have one television station all their lives. They couldn't tell the difference between the Ukrainians and the Russians. They were killing the Russians because nobody wants to serve in your army, Putin, you damn murderer. Okay, they don't want to serve in the Ukrainian army either. They're tired. You raped them. You came in, you took their territory, and now you want a deal. And the deal is you want to keep everything you took. And you don't want to give a damn thing back. And it sounds like we're agreeing with you. Well, I'm not agreeing with you. I want half of what you took back. And I want it to be the mineral part. You can have I think we're going to have to concede that he's got to, I hate to give him Crimea, to tell you the truth. I'd like to think about that a little. Because that completely violated every rule, every doctrine we had on foreign policy, letting a country do that. And we're not talking about a country that is not a threat to the United States. I mean, China's the big one, but they are too. And we let them take Crimea under Obama? Do you really think that if NATO and the United States of America had put an army on the border of Ukraine, given the way they performed against Ukraine, suppose we put a few Israelis in there too, just for good measure, what do you think would have happened? Putin would have gone back chasing after young girls. Because he's not a fool. Okay, we're going to conclude with something for your health. First of all, I'm going to congratulate Saquon Barkley for standing up for the right thing. He didn't say he's for Trump. He didn't say he was from Obama. He said he played golf with both. And you're not going to tell me who to play golf with. And I am going to credit my friend Adam Coleman, who wrote this in the New York Post about Saquon. He is black and a man. Our demographic is only tolerated if we're doing what they tell us to do. The racists, the Democrats. You better not call me a racist.
That's right.
Now, I want you to look at this banana thing. because this is really important for your health. I love bananas, by the way. I don't eat them enough. I could eat 5 bananas a day. Probably that's not good for you if you had 5 a day. But here's something I didn't know, and Dr. Maria is still here, so she can jump in and grab the microphone and tell me. Many, many times, people will present me with bananas, and they'll have like bananas that look like that you see on the screen right now, and they don't want it. They want to throw them away. I eat them because they taste so good, with all the what they call rotten stuff.
And you make bread out of it, banana bread.
Oh man, I could do anything with it. Now, do you know that's the most unhealthy banana?
What?
Allegedly.
What?
The one that's rotting.
It has more sugar and less potassium.
Can we show the chart?
Yes, sir. But
There's a lot of compounds they don't recognize in these studies.
As long as the banana is still fully yellow, even if it's as long as there are many brown spots, it has different ways of helping you. So here's the one I didn't realize: the greenest of green bananas could be the most healthy. It is rich in resistant starch and fiber. Okay, helps you, gives you a shot against cancer. Now we go to it looks like 3/4 green, maybe half green, half yellow, high in fiber, low in sugar, meaning you don't get fat. How about even if it's a little more? You see the third one over there? It's got a little green at the bottom.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Ideal for diabetics.
Oh, wow.
How about the next one?
Who would have thought?
How about the next one?
Dr. Maria knew this
Higher
whole time.
levels of antioxidants. That means it helps you prevent cancer.
Antioxidants.
How about a completely almost yellow one? Great
That's-
pre-workout snack. And how about a solid
That's the
yellow
one I
one,
would
naturally sweet, easy to digest?
That's the one I would think is the
They're
healthiest.
so minimally different. And honestly, I think the more brown one, it'll probably have more
Ted,
good bacteria.
Let's report him to Robert Kennedy Jr.
Yeah,
No. Kennedy's going to be way with me. He'll say that there's good gut bacteria and a lot of different compounds that science doesn't even really know about.
Okay.
In the
Dr.
banana.
Maria, what do you say? Is that right? That chart right? Yeah, I think I'd rather go with Dr. Maria than non-Dr. Stephen.
The good
So now
bacteria, the good bacteria is real.
Let me mention before I send you to Dr. Maria to listen to the great interview with the president of Serbia. Let me tell you that it does work when you show a little muscle. So Amazon was gonna put the tariffs on the China stuff anytime you buy from Amazon, which I was actually not opposed to because I'll just stop buying from. I don't care what it is. I'll just stop buying it if they show me that. So Trump called up Bezos, and they describe it as an angry call. Of course, the great press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, had already said that his company is China aligned. This is a hostile and political act by Amazon. Why didn't Amazon do this when the Biden administration hiked inflation to the highest level in 40 years? Well, Trump called him. Okay, remember the picture I showed you? He did look around at Reagan, and when it was over with, Amazon's not going to do it. And they better start getting ready to get the hell out of China. Everybody has got to take a little. I wish the president would say this to us because, in a way, he said we have to suffer a little pain so we don't all end up speaking Chinese. Okay, so the world doesn't get taken over by atheistic communism, and so that we save the Uyghurs, so we save the Christians, so we save the Chinese people. Well, we're going to have plenty more on this tomorrow. Stuff that you don't learn anyplace else. Think of all the, I'm going to make a list for tomorrow of all the stuff I told you're not going to learn anyplace else. Now, right now, I want you to go over to Lindell TV, and I want you to listen to the Dr. Maria interview the president of Serbia, because we're going to talk about it tomorrow. Okay. God bless America. It's our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze. We are able to apply our God-given common sense. So let's do it.